So I'm going to share with you one of my most recent paintings. Someone sent me this photo of their little niece, and I thought, oh my gosh, I've got to do this because the braids and the beads, as a braider, everyone has some kind of memory attached to those little beads and swinging them around. And I've done a similar style for so many young hair clients that I thought, this really does deserve to be commemorated and honored in fine art. So I wanted to do this portrait to just celebrate the hairstyle and to capture this little girl's expression. She's clearly contemplating, and so I wanted to do a piece that really spoke to the content of what's going on in her mind, as well as celebrating the braids and beads hairstyle. So my thoughts turn to a piece that I did a while ago. It's called My Place, and it's actually a little girl who is in South Africa, but she is juxtaposed in front of a sunset in Montana on the mountainside where I was actually born. And I thought of that piece just because of the connectivity of the puzzle pieces and that underlying texture and matrix of puzzle pieces and what it could do to speak to connecting thoughts. So I started with a birch panel, and this is a 12 by 12 panel, and then I put a puzzle on top of that panel and gessoed one layer of gesso over that. I actually disconnected pieces of the puzzle and spread it out to kind of just underscore that connectivity of thoughts, and there are as many disconnected thoughts as there are connected ones within our minds, as we're children just trying to make sense of the world. And so I actually ended up doing 3 coats of gesso. I like to make sure that that puzzle surface is really fully coated in gesso, because for archival considerations and purposes, you really want that to be completely coated with a primer, and gesso is the fine art primer that really preserves materials, so that in the future, if anything was to decompose, you could literally lift that off and remount it on another surface. So the gesso is a triple primed surface over top of the wooden panel and the puzzle matrix, and the puzzle pieces are glued down also with an archival adhesive to make sure that everything is super secure and long lasting. And then I took alizarin crimson and did a toner over top of the primer. So this is a toned surface now. The alizarin crimson just gives a nice undertone to the rosiness of the picture and the little girl's face. And then with phthalo blue, red shade of phthalo blue, I did kind of a little sketch to just settle in the boundaries and the expression and the placement also of the eyes and other features of the face amidst the puzzle pieces, because you never want one of the features to be awkwardly placed, especially eyes. Like, you have to really be careful about competing surfaces and shapes and things like that when you're working with these kind of textured surfaces, and working with a very representational image, especially like a face. So I store my colors in an ice cube tray, as you can see there. And I also work with intermixtures of those colors on these smaller palettes, and you can see my grouping of paint brushes is pretty wide ranging. So I just kept layering paint on the surface as I continued from the sketch to finishing the piece. And you can see the side of the birch panel is painted as well, so the whole thing is finished from edge to edge and all the way around the sides. And then the back is just the wood, and I just love how the sheen of the puzzle pieces, the paint really just grips onto those puzzle pieces, and the surface creates almost a similar effect to maybe the surface of leather or something. It's just a very rich surface, so it definitely has a visual appeal that's really specific to the texture. And you can see it a little bit more in this particular video. I just kind of was trying to show the surface there. And so I did gloss varnish this particular painting, and it is now ready and up for sale on my website. It's my newest original portrait that's on my website, RachelADolezal.com, and I titled it Connecting Thoughts. And I hope you all enjoy this process video. Just wanted to share a little bit about my process. I actually started working on this back in, I think it was January or February at the beginning of the year, and doing the puzzle and the matrix and the gessoing and priming, and then just recently finished it. So it's taken 3/4 of the year or so to wrap up this project, but I think it's well worth it, and I really do enjoy the just the overall expression and that unexpected puzzle texture, kind of adding another layer of meaning literally to this work. So as always, you can find my latest work on the homepage of RachelDolezal.com. Of course, when an original sells, it is removed from my website. Some of my originals I do make prints of, some I don't. And so you can just kind of always see what's available for prints as well as originals on RachelDolezal.com.